It's 200 hours in the South China Sea and 400 feet beneath the surface. One of America's most expensive military assets glides silently through contested waters. This Virginia-class attack submarine, worth $4.9 billion and stretching 377 feet from bow to stern, carries 132 highly trained sailors deeper into hostile territory than any surface vessel would dare venture. Above them, foreign naval forces patrol aggressively, unaware that American eyes and ears are recording their every movement from the crushing depths below. Inside this underwater fortress, the crew operates on a schedule that defies the natural world. There's no sunrise or sunset here, no weather patterns or seasonal changes, only the artificial rhythms of a nuclear-powered machine designed to remain submerged for months at a time. The submarine's single reactor generates enough power to supply a small city, propelling 7,900 tons of steel and technology through the ocean at speeds exceeding 25 knots, while producing less noise than the ambient sounds of the sea itself. The 132 souls aboard this vessel, 15 officers and 117 enlisted sailors, live in quarters so cramped that personal space is measured in cubic feet rather than square feet. They share a world smaller than most office buildings, yet this confined environment houses some of the most sophisticated intelligence-gathering equipment ever deployed. Every conversation, every radio transmission, every sonar ping from enemy vessels above is captured, analyzed, and transmitted back to intelligence agencies thousands of miles away. This submarine represents the cutting edge of American naval technology and the pinnacle of underwater stealth. Its anechoic tiles absorb enemy sonar signals. Its advanced sensors can track multiple targets simultaneously, and its weapon systems can strike targets both above and below the surface with devastating precision. Yet, for all its technological sophistication, this $4.9 billion marvel depends entirely on the human beings who operate it. Sailors who must maintain peak performance while living in isolation, breathing recycled air, and carrying out missions that could reshape international relations. Today, we're taking you inside this hidden world of submarine warfare, revealing how America's most elite naval crews live, work, and conduct intelligence operations while patrolling the most dangerous waters on Earth. Life aboard a $4.9 billion nuclear submarine unfolds in a space so restrictive that most people would find it claustrophobic within hours. The submarine's interior, designed to accommodate 135 personnel in maximum efficiency rather than comfort, compresses an entire floating city into a steel tube barely 33 feet in diameter. Every cubic inch serves a purpose, and privacy becomes a luxury that simply doesn't exist in any meaningful way. The crew operates on a meticulously structured daily routine that divides their 24-hour cycle into 3 equal segments. 8 hours of active duty at their assigned stations, 8 hours dedicated to study, equipment maintenance, cleaning, and limited socialization, and 8 hours of sleep in berthing compartments where personal space is measured by the dimensions of a single rack, roughly 6 feet long, 2 feet wide, and 2 feet high. These sleeping quarters, stacked 3 high with minimal clearance between them, house junior enlisted sailors who must crawl into their assigned space and draw a thin privacy curtain for the only solitude available aboard the submarine. Watch schedules follow a precise 6 hours on, 12 hours off rotation that divides the crew into 3 sections, ensuring that critical systems remain manned at all times while the submarine operates in enemy waters. During their watch periods, sailors monitor sonar displays for enemy vessels, maintain the nuclear reactor that powers their underwater journey, and operate the sophisticated intelligence-gathering equipment that justifies their presence in hostile territory. The watch standing requires absolute attention. A moment's inattention to sonar contacts or reactor parameters could compromise the mission or endanger the entire crew. Water conservation aboard the submarine reaches levels that would seem extreme in any surface environment. Crew members never leave water running, even while brushing their teeth, as every drop must be carefully managed through the submarine's recycling systems. The submarine can produce fresh water from seawater using nuclear-powered distillation, but the process consumes precious electrical power and generates heat signatures that could potentially be detected by enemy sensors scanning the waters above. Social dynamics in such confined quarters require extraordinary adaptation. Disagreements that might be minor irritations on land become potentially serious conflicts when the parties involved cannot escape each other's presence for months. The crew develops informal protocols for sharing limited recreational space, rotating access to exercise equipment, and managing the psychological stress of prolonged isolation. Veterans describe the submarine's social ecosystem as intensely collaborative by necessity. Individual personality conflicts must be suppressed for the greater good of mission success and crew survival. Meals become significant social events, not because of the food quality, which is generally excellent for the first few weeks until fresh provisions are exhausted, but because they represent scheduled opportunities for crew interaction beyond duty requirements. The galley operates continuously, serving meals every 6 hours to accommodate the submarine's watch schedule and providing one of the few spaces where sailors from different departments can gather informally. Deep beneath the contested waters of the South China Sea, this $4.9 billion technological marvel transforms into America's most valuable intelligence asset. While surface vessels must announce their presence through radar signatures and radio communications, this Virginia-class submarine operates as a complete ghost, invisible, undetectable, and capable of monitoring hostile enemy actions from positions that would be impossible for any other military platform to achieve. The submarine's primary mission in these dangerous waters centers on anti-submarine warfare and sophisticated intelligence-gathering operations that can alter the strategic balance of entire regions. Using an array of sensors so advanced that their capabilities remain highly classified, the crew intercepts electronic communications, tracks submarine movements, and documents naval exercises conducted by foreign powers who remain completely unaware of American presence just miles away. In the submarine's electronic surveillance module, specially trained technicians operate equipment worth millions of dollars, capturing radio transmissions, radar emissions, and digital communications that provide unprecedented insight into enemy naval operations. These intelligence specialists, working in spaces barely larger than closets, process terabytes of data daily, sorting through routine communications to identify critical intelligence that could influence American foreign policy decisions made thousands of miles away in Washington. The submarine's sonar dome, located in the bow and containing hydrophones sensitive enough to detect a ship's engine noise from over 100 miles away, operates continuously as the crew's primary means of navigation and threat detection while patrolling enemy waters. The sonar technicians, wearing headphones that isolate them from the submarine's internal sounds, can identify specific vessel types by their acoustic signatures, distinguishing between military and civilian ships, determining nationality based on propeller blade counts, and tracking multiple contacts simultaneously. What makes these intelligence operations particularly dangerous is the submarine's proximity to hostile naval forces. Operating within territorial waters claimed by foreign powers, the submarine must maintain perfect stealth while maneuvering close enough to gather detailed intelligence. A single mechanical failure, an unexpected noise, or a momentary loss of stealth could result in detection by enemy sonar systems, potentially triggering an international incident or worse. The submarine's advanced anechoic tiles, covering the exterior hull like a second skin, absorb incoming sonar pings rather than reflecting them back to enemy sensors. This revolutionary coating technology, combined with the submarine's natural stealth characteristics, allows the vessel to operate undetected even when enemy destroyers pass directly overhead, their sonar systems unable to penetrate the acoustic camouflage that makes the submarine effectively invisible. During these covert patrols, communication with home base occurs only through carefully scheduled transmissions using extremely low-frequency radio signals that can penetrate hundreds of feet of seawater. These brief communications windows, lasting mere minutes, allow the submarine to upload intelligence data and receive new mission parameters while maintaining the communication discipline essential for survival in hostile waters. At the heart of this $4.9 billion underwater fortress lies one of humanity's most remarkable engineering achievements: a nuclear reactor that transforms atomic energy into the life force that sustains 132 souls in the most hostile environment on Earth. This single reactor, no larger than a garbage truck yet more powerful than the engines of a massive cargo ship, generates enough electricity to power a small city while propelling 7,900 tons of steel through enemy waters at speeds that would have been unimaginable to submarine pioneers just decades ago. The reactor compartment, sealed behind radiation shielding that will never be opened during the submarine's operational life, operates with a precision that borders on the miraculous. Nuclear fuel assemblies, enriched to weapons grade levels and packed into configurations that will provide power for over 20 years, undergo controlled fission reactions that heat pressurized water to temperatures exceeding 500 degrees Fahrenheit. This superheated water, circulating through a closed-loop system, transfers its thermal energy to secondary steam generators that drive turbines connected to the submarine's single propeller shaft. The nuclear propulsion system allows the submarine to remain submerged indefinitely, limited only by food supplies and crew endurance rather than fuel constraints. Unlike diesel submarines that must surface regularly to run air-breathing engines and recharge batteries, this nuclear-powered vessel can operate beneath enemy waters for months without ever revealing its presence to hostile forces scanning the surface above. In the engine room, reactor operators monitor dozens of gauges, computer displays, and alarm systems that track every aspect of the nuclear plant's performance. These highly trained technicians, many of them still in their 20s, carry responsibility that would humble veteran power plant operators on land. They adjust control rods to manage reactor power output, monitor coolant temperatures and pressures, and ensure that the delicate balance of nuclear fission remains stable even as the submarine executes violent maneuvers to avoid enemy detection. The submarine's weapon systems represent the ultimate expression of precision engineering combined with devastating firepower. 4 torpedo tubes, each 21 inches in diameter, can launch Mark 48 torpedoes weighing 3,695 pounds and capable of sinking the largest warships at ranges exceeding 35 miles. These same tubes can also fire Tomahawk cruise missiles, transforming the submarine into a long-range strike platform capable of attacking targets hundreds of miles inland with precision measured in feet rather than miles. Life support systems operate with equal sophistication, manufacturing breathable air through electrolysis that splits seawater into hydrogen and oxygen, using electricity generated by the nuclear reactor. The submarine's atmosphere is continuously scrubbed of carbon dioxide, monitored for toxic gases, and maintained at pressures that allow the crew to function normally, despite being surrounded by crushing water pressure that would instantly kill any unprotected human. Even waste management becomes a complex engineering challenge aboard a submarine operating in enemy waters, where every discharge must be carefully timed and executed to avoid creating detectable traces that could reveal the submarine's position to enemy sensors. Operating a $4.9 billion submarine in enemy waters extracts a psychological toll that no amount of technology can eliminate. The 132 crew members aboard this underwater fortress must maintain peak mental performance while knowing that a single mistake could trigger an international incident, compromise vital intelligence operations, or worse, result in their submarine becoming a target for enemy forces operating just miles above their heads. The crushing isolation of extended deployments in hostile waters creates unique stresses that land-based military personnel never experience. These sailors disappear beneath the waves for months at a time, completely cut off from families, friends, and the outside world. They receive no phone calls, send no text messages, and have no access to real-time news or social media. While the world above continues its normal rhythm of daily life, they exist in a timeless bubble where artificial lighting marks the passage of days and the only connection to home comes through heavily censored official communications. Equipment wear becomes a constant concern as the submarine pushes deeper into enemy territory, operating systems far beyond their normal stress limits. Hull fatigue from repeated deep diving cycles, electronic equipment degradation from months of continuous operation, and mechanical wear on critical components create maintenance challenges that must be addressed while maintaining absolute silence. The crew's morale directly impacts their ability to perform these essential repairs under conditions where a dropped wrench or an inadvertent noise could compromise their stealth and endanger everyone aboard. The submarine's small recreational spaces, a tiny library, a few exercise machines, and common areas barely large enough for card games, become psychologically critical as crew members struggle to maintain mental health during extended isolation. Senior petty officers and officers monitor their sailors for signs of stress, depression, or behavioral changes that could indicate psychological breakdown. In an environment where every person's performance affects the entire crew's survival, mental health becomes a matter of operational security. Training and qualification programs continue even during the most dangerous patrol phases, as crew members must advance their skills and maintain certifications despite operating in enemy waters. The submarine carries educational materials, computer-based training programs, and testing equipment that allow sailors to pursue advancement opportunities, but these activities must be balanced against the demands of maintaining combat readiness and operational security. Leadership challenges in this environment test even the most experienced submarine commanders. Maintaining crew effectiveness requires balancing the need for strict operational discipline against the human requirement for morale and psychological well-being. The commanding officer must make decisions that could affect international relations while simultaneously managing the interpersonal dynamics of 132 people living in extremely close quarters under extraordinary stress. The crew's dedication to their mission becomes evident in their willingness to accept these sacrifices. They volunteer for duty aboard vessels where personal comfort is non-existent, privacy is impossible, and the margin for error approaches zero, all while operating the most expensive military platforms ever constructed in waters where detection could prove fatal. As we surface from this extraordinary journey into the hidden world of submarine warfare, the true magnitude of what these 132 sailors accomplish becomes undeniably clear. Operating a $4.9 billion nuclear submarine in enemy waters represents far more than technological achievement. It embodies human courage operating at the absolute limits of endurance, skill, and dedication. The financial investment in these underwater platforms reflects their strategic importance to American national security. At $4.9 billion per submarine, with total U.S. submarine spending projected at $213.9 billion over the next decade, these vessels represent some of the most expensive military assets ever constructed. Yet, their value cannot be measured solely in dollars. The intelligence they gather, the deterrent effect they provide, and the strategic advantages they deliver to American foreign policy make them among the most cost-effective weapon systems in the military arsenal. The human dimension of submarine operations defies easy comprehension. These volunteers accept duty aboard vessels where they will spend months breathing recycled air, drinking processed seawater, and living in quarters smaller than most prison cells, all while carrying out missions that could reshape international relations. They operate nuclear reactors with the power to level city blocks, manage weapon systems capable of striking targets hundreds of miles away, and gather intelligence that influences decisions made at the highest levels of government. Perhaps most remarkably, they do all of this while maintaining the absolute silence and stealth that keeps them invisible to enemy forces operating mere miles above their heads. The psychological pressure of knowing that a single mechanical failure, an unexpected noise, or a moment's carelessness could expose their position to hostile naval forces requires mental toughness that few civilians could imagine, let alone endure. The technological evolution represented by these submarines spans decades of innovation, from the first nuclear submarines of the 1950s to today's Virginia-class vessels equipped with sensors, weapons, and intelligence-gathering capabilities that push the boundaries of what's scientifically possible. Yet, for all their technological sophistication, these $4.9 billion marvels depend entirely on the human beings who operate them. Sailors whose average age barely exceeds 25 years, yet who carry responsibilities that could affect global stability. These underwater warriors return from their patrols having served their country in ways that most Americans will never fully understand or appreciate. They disappear beneath hostile waters for months at a time, gathering intelligence that keeps America ahead of potential adversaries while operating in conditions that test every limit of human endurance and technological capability. In the contested waters of an increasingly dangerous world, America's nuclear submarine fleet continues its silent vigil, invisible guardians carrying out missions that remain classified decades after completion, ensuring that the nation's most vital interests remain protected by the most dedicated sailors ever to serve beneath the waves.